What's up, guys? Welcome to the final round. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC 317, taking place this Saturday, June 28th, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and it's headlined by Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria, and the co-main Kai Kara France versus Alexandre Pantoja. Really good. Let me rephrase this. Pretty good fight card. Very top heavy. Very interesting fights on the card. Definitely could have been built better for an international fight week card. We've definitely seen better. And we've definitely seen that the July 26th Abu Dhabi cards is stacked a bit better, but oh well, what are you going to do? I've complained about that, so you know my thoughts. I won't spend too much time on that, but yeah, I'm excited for this card. I'm going to be hosting it at my place. I'm having all my buddies come over and we're watching the fight. Gonna be a good fucking time. I'm gonna be making some food. Gonna be a fun time. So let's get right into it. Now, first fight of the night, we have a very short notice fight between Christopher Uwart and Jackson McVeigh. Both guys making the UFC debut. This was supposed to be Cedricus Dumbass versus let me see, who was it supposed to be originally? It was supposed to be. I thought no. Okay, no. It was supposed to be Jackson McVeigh versus Cedricus Dumbass, and then UFC's most arrested Cedricus decided to get arrested last month, hide in a dog crate to hide from being arrested, and now can't fight this weekend because he cannot get his ankle monitor off in time. So he is a bum. So this is a very short notice fight for both guys making their UFC debut. I don't know much about the guys. I was going to pick Jackson to beat Cedricus because I don't believe Cedricus is anything good. But from what I've seen, Christopher is a bit of a tank. I don't have much information about him. I don't even have a reach stat about him or any of that. So he's a very seemed to be an aggressive type of brawler. Very finish heavy. He's got 5 KO wins and 7 wins, so he's definitely a finisher. So I'm going early lean. I'm gonna pick Christopher Uwart just because short notice fight and he seems a bit more of a tank. So yeah. And then the next fight on the card, we also have another short notice fight. Jonathan Denise versus Alvin Hines. This is supposed to be Jonathan Denise versus Justin Tafa, and that was on the main card. So thank God that's not happening. But I'm gonna have to lean toward Denise in this fight. He's definitely the more polished kickboxer, the more polished fighter. Alvin Hines kind of a brawler type of guy, and I think short notice fight coming into this against a pretty well-rounded kickboxer. I think he's just gonna run into a deadly shot within like the first 2 rounds and get put out cold. So I think Jonathan Denise is just gonna piece this guy up coming into the pocket and just take him out. So yeah, nothing much about that. I got Jonathan Denise. Moving on, we've got Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith. Before I give my breakdown about this fight, I'm just going to preface this off by saying earlier today, Jacoby Smith was, and he still is, the highest favorite in UFC history. Earlier today, he was a minus 4,000 favorite over Nico Price. 4,000 favorite. That is fucking insane. No one should even be a minus 1,000 favorite. We've seen that multiple times this year. Do not put someone at a minus 5,000 favorite. It's not a good idea. So, but I do agree with him being the favorite because I think this is a tailored match for him where he's going to come in and get a finished win over Nico Price. He's got 8 KO wins in his 10-win career. Um, his last, was it 5 wins have come all by finish. coming off that knockout win over Preston Parsons in January. Um, I think he finishes Nico Price. I think this is a tailor match for him. But if Nico Price doesn't get finished, it kind of shows maybe that Robbie Lawler fight was a fix. You never know. But if anything tells me, yeah, Jacoby Smith should beat Nico Price by finish. Nico Price definitely at the very back end of his career. So, yeah, Jacoby Smith is my pick. Then moving on, we have Terrence McKinney versus Vyacheslav Borshev, sorry. Um, Very interesting fight, very hard to pick. I'm gonna have to pick Terrence McKinney just because of how he is. We all know who he is, first round fighter. He either finishes you in the first round, or you're finishing him in the first or second round. Um, and Vyacheslav Borshev, he's good. He's definitely in my opinion a better striker. He's last time I knew was Team Alpha Male striking coach, and working with them definitely improved his takedown defense and all that. Um, but I think Terrence McKinney is just going to be able to overwhelm him in this fight in the first round and just put on that pace and pressure and be able just to take him out of here within that first round. But I'm not highly too confident on Terrence just because we've seen Terrence fade immediately as it gets into the second round. And Vyacheslav has taken some decent shots from like Nazim Sadikov and all that. And he's a decent durable guy. He did get dropped by Chase Hooper, but that was a kind of weird overhand punch. So I'm going to just pick Terrence McKinney to finish Borshev in the first round. But if this gets into the second round, just be prepared to see Borshev take over because second round McKinney not good. And moving on, we have Viviane Araujo versus Tracy Cortez. Looking at this fight all week, I've been interested in the odds. They've had Tracy Cortez as a favorite. Um, and originally looking at that, I'm like, well, no. I mean, I think Viviane definitely is the better fighter, and um, she is 38 years old, but 38 and the women's division and 38 in the heavyweight division is completely different from every other division. Um, she's definitely the more better wrestler than Tracy, or at least her takedown defense I think is better. Tracy coming off that main event loss to Rose Namajunas, where she just got picked apart. Um, I mean, Tracy is definitely good. She's a good boxer. She likes to get it to the ground. But if she tries to get into the ground against someone like Viviane, even at 38 years old, I think Viviane, I don't know, I don't know. I don't know. I think this fight, whoever wins, it comes down to how this first round looks. Because how this first round is going to be a pick 'em. And then I think the second, fuck it. I'm doing third round finish for Tracy Cortez. I'm going crazy for this card. All right. For third round finish, Tracy Cortez. I'm going to place a bet on it. All right. I'll place a bet on it. So Tracy Cortez, third round finish. And then we got Hyder Emil versus Jose Delgado. Hyder Emil, what is it, barn burner of a type of fighter, just comes forward, tries to strike, and tries to finish you. But he's coming off that split decision win over William Gomi, who not is an all right fighter. He's finished Fernie Garcia, Jiang Lee, and in the UFC. But I think his type of style, his type of fight style where he likes to come forward and land the shots, I think he's gonna get caught against somebody like Delgado, who you know is also a very good striker, and with that reach, he likes to stay at distance and pick his opponents apart at distance. So I think with similar to the Alvin Hines and Jonathan Denise fight, I think Hyder Mill is just gonna keep walking into shots from Jose, and Jose. I don't know if I don't know if he finishes Hyder, but I think he beats Hyder Mill with the striking. Yeah, it should be a good fight. I kind of see this as one of the fight of the night contenders, but we did a decent fights on the main card, so we'll see. So, but my official pick is Jose Delgado. And then moving on to our featured prelim of the night, we have Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez. I like this fight. We get the Joker versus RoboCop. Um, Jack Hermanson not as active as he once was in his career. His last fight against Joe Pyfer, which was last year in February. Fucking hell, I didn't realize it was in February. I thought it was in July. Damn. And before that, his last fight was a loss to Roman Dolidze in 2022. So he is not the most active fighter right now, and he's coming against Gregory Rodriguez, who he's a savage. He is coming off that KO loss to Jared Cannonier, but in my opinion, he did win the first round going for the finish, and he kind of gassed himself a bit going for the finish, which you can't knock him for. He tried to finish the fight, and then Jared, just a well-rounded guy and landed a nice elbow that hurt RoboCop at the end of round two, and he just could never recover. Or round three, and just yeah, landed a decent elbow at the end of round three, and RoboCop could never recover from that. And going into round four, he just got finished. But other than that, RoboCop likes to come forward, likes to strike. He's got really good BJJ and ground game. And against a guy like Jack Hermanson, I think he's going to be able to get the job done because Jack's inactivity, I think, is going to play against him. And even if he tries to get this fight to the ground, RoboCop has amazing takedown defense and BJJ, so I think he'll do good there. And I think he's just going to come forward and just you know land the strikes on Jack. But if this was like a 5 round fight, I would definitely lean Jack Hermanson because I think in those later rounds he comes alive and gets better, especially in that Piper fight. Like he lost those first 2 rounds, and then the last 3 rounds he just did better. He weathered the storm and won the last 3 rounds. And I think it might be similar here. I think RoboCop comes forward and puts on the pressure, but since it's 3 rounds, Jack is not going to be able to switch on his game. So I think RoboCop's pressure and pace will just be too much for Jack, and I think actually RoboCop will find the finish against Jack Hermanson, which will be a great bounce back win for RoboCop in this middleweight division, especially since Jack is a former ranked opponent. So moving on, we have the first fight on the main card. We have Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Peyton Talbot, coming off his first loss to Hani Basalos, where he was like a minus 1,000 favorite. Now he's a plus 160 underdog. Very weird, interesting fight. Two high prospects right now, early in their careers. Type of fight where they're gonna meet again down the line, probably for a title, just based off how good they are. And people have been writing Peyton off after that Ronnie Barcelos loss, which, I mean, I was one of them too. But looking back at it, Barcelos is a former 5-time Brazilian BJJ champion or wrestling champion, whatever it was, and Peyton's still fresh and green in his career, and this showed that his takedown defense wasn't up to par where it should have been. And I mean, Honey Basalos is, just got a win over Cody Garbrandt, so he's still doing good, and he won it with the wrestling more so. So, but Felipe Lima, another savage, um, likes to get it to the ground. Likes to throw that spinny shit. And It's an interesting fight because I'm leaning towards Felipe Lima to win this fight because he got the better wrestling advantage and grappling advantage. But Peyton's got decent, height on him, and you can't forget Peyton's striking is still dangerous as all hell. Just because he lost a grappling decision doesn't mean his striking isn't going to be, worse. His striking is dangerous, and if he given the opportunity to build his momentum, he can find a finish and beat the shit out of you. So I think Felipe Lima needs to start fast, and I think he needs to get threatened with that takedown immediately to get Peyton off his rhythm. But if he can't do that and Peyton gets into a rhythm of his striking flow, dude, it's gonna be a hard fight for Felipe to win. But as of right now, my official pick is Felipe Lima to win by, I think by decision. I don't think he finishes Peyton Talbot. I think Peyton's just too composed, even in those grappling exchanges with Barcelos. So yeah, I think Felipe wins, but Peyton I think is going to look good. And then moving on, we have Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Beneil, a rebooking of their fight from 311 where Armin had to pull out and Renato was called in to step in short notice for the lightweight title fight. Back then, I was under the impression like Beneil is still a good fighter, and Renato, while I do like him and he is good, Beneil is kind of better than him in my opinion. And in this fight, a lot of people I've seen been backing Beneil, and I'm also backing Beneil in this fight just because I mean Hanato is good, but I think Beneil's wrestling is better. I think his striking is a bit more polished, and he's got a bit more power in his striking than Hanato. I just think he can be more of a threat in all those exchanges than Hanato can. So I think, unfortunately, even though I want Hanato to win with all my heart, I think Beneil is gonna win this fight. And honestly, I think Beneil retires too. So I've heard rumors about that. So we'll see. But then moving on to our featured bout on the fight, we've got Brandon Royval versus our prospect Joshua Van. And this is going to be a barn burner. This is going to be fight in the night, I guarantee it. I think it goes all 3 rounds, and I think Joshua Van pulls this off. And while he is a slight favorite right now, I think he pulls off a massive upset because he is ranked 12 right now because they moved him down after I made this edit. And Royval is the #1 contender. If Josh Van wins this fight, he becomes that next guy to fight Pantoja, which I think he loses against Pantoja. But against a guy like Royval, who I think is kind of a lackluster boxer who kind of relies on his cardio and his opponent's vulnerability to win his fights. He's been kind of winning these 5 round decisions by kind of closely by using his cardio and his opponent's vulnerability. Like I said, let me look because I wrote this down. Um, I think Josh is going to be able to cut off Royval on the fence and get inside the pocket and rip his shots. I think Josh is just a better striker, and in a very striking heavy match, you got to pick the better striker, and I think is Josh Van is a better striker. I know he's young and he's still green, but I think you got to rely on momentum too, and you got to think Brandon Royval versus Manel Cop has been canceled twice. The first fight was canceled due to rumors. Brandon pulled out, and there's rumors that he had concussions. So you got to play that into factor. So I think I am going to 100% pick Josh Van in this fight. It's going to be an uphill battle for him. He's going to have to weather a storm because Royval is the most chaotic and dangerous guy in this division, in my opinion. But I think he weathers that storm, and I think he upsets everybody, and I think he beats Brandon Royval by decision. I don't think he finishes Royval. Royval is too durable for that. But moving on, we've got the co-main event of the evening. We've got Alessandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. I want to pick Kai, but honestly, Pantoja is too much of a fucking savage. He's on a run right now. I don't think anybody at flyweight can beat this guy. All right, Kai's chance and only chance I think is to land that shot. He's unique in this division where he possesses a power that no one in this division can possess, and he knocks people out. And Pantoja does get hit, and he got hit a lot against Urseg, and Urseg doesn't have that power to beat and finish Pantoja, but Kai Kara France does. So it is a rematch 9 years ago, I think. So it's a completely different fight. I think Pantoja just become too much of a dog. I think he's way too durable. I look back at the Kai Asakura fight where he was throwing a body kick and Kai Asakura hit him with a flush knee on the chin, and off balance, getting hit with that knee. Pantoja looks at him right after and looks, that's it? No. You take a flying knee like that and you eat it and you don't get finished, I think you're eating everything. And I think Pantoja beats Kai Kara France. And I think he honestly, I don't think anyone in this division beats him. I think he cements himself as the second best flyweight of all time. He already has. So I think Pantoja wins, and I think it'll be a good fight. But yeah. And then moving on to the main event for the vacant lightweight title after Islam has moved up the fight. My boy Jack. We'll talk about that later. Ilia Topuria vacated his featherweight title, moved up, and is now fighting the former lightweight champion for the vacant title, Charles Oliveira. I love Charles. I want to pick Charles. I want Charles to have that feel good moment to get the title back, but it's Ilia, dude. Ilia. Possesses that calmness and that confidence and that power that makes him undeniably, you know, the best. And I think he will finish Charles within the first 2 rounds. I think this first round is going to be the most chaotic first round we're ever going to see because both men are going to move forward, throw their strikes, and try to finish the other. But I think in the pocket, Charles gets hit too much, and against a guy like Ilia who possesses that power, I think it's too bad. And we've seen Charles cracked and hurt badly in his career, and Ilia hurts people badly, badly. And in his last fight against Max, he was wearing the gloves that were notorious for preventing knockouts, and he knocked out the guy with the most durable chin in the UFC. So yeah, I'm gonna have to pick Ilia. In my heart, I want Charles to win, but Ilia Topuria, I think, is undeniably one of these great superstars who's gonna come in and might retire undefeated. If he fights Armin, that's a whole nother story. Armin's kind of, I think, his worst stylistic matchup. Him versus Paddy makes money. But I think Ilya wins this fight by knockout within the first 2 rounds. And I think he cements himself as one of the GOATs. Or one of the greats, not the GOATs. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Pay attention to future breakdowns I do next week. Was it? No, not next week. There's a little bit of a break, but we'll return for July 12th for the Derek Lewis versus Talson Teixeira card. Then we have UFC 318 the following week, Holloway versus Poirier. July 26th, the UFC Fight Night in Abu Dhabi, Whitaker versus DeRitter. August 2nd, the UFC Fight Night, Albazi versus Tyra. August 9th, the Fight Night between Delizde and Hernandez. And then August 16th, UFC 319, Duplessis versus Chimaev. Stay tuned for all those breakdown videos and any videos I post otherwise. So thank you all for watching. Leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.